seen her out too. She's still doing okay with it.
She's doing fine.
So you want to go to Steve. Ready? Planning Commission meeting will come to order. We're going to start off with the invocation. Chris is going to lead us in the invocation.
Loving and gracious God, be with us in our deliberations. Help us to be wise in our decisions we make for those present and not present.
Okay, if everybody would stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Linda Morrison, here. Christopher Bobby,
Here.
Eric Carl.
Here.
Sharon Taylor.
Here.
Ruth Ann Jones. Here. Joseph Lish. John Atkins.
Here.
Okay, we're going to approval of minutes.
They are, I've given you the draft of the June ones that I have so far. That was the really long one that we have, but the full minutes are not.
Okay.
But just to review at home, let me know if you see any errors on anything we did. And hopefully those will be ready next week.
And that applies also for July, correct? Okay, moving on to the notice of the public hearing. We're gonna open up. This is 202409-001. The request to rename Crawford Street, FNA Watson Drive, located at the end of Dawes Street, Morris. And it is 4:35 with my watch. We're gonna open up the public comments. We've got 4 people that have signed up to make public comments. And when you come up, please introduce yourself and limit your presentation to 3 minutes. The first one is Eddie.
That's me. Edie Cristiniano.
Okay, just, okay, if you could just come up. That's fine.
Good afternoon.
Okay.
I am the owner of the new house that is there on, used to be Watson Drive, now Crawford Street. My brother has moved in here from Colorado to this home. Has had to change out-of-state tags. We had to do closing, all the paperwork. We got all that down. It's still not in Google search. Having trouble getting delivery. Went to get a permit to build a garage, and that was, then we found out it was changed to Crawford Street after all the closing. We then ran into the problem, then we had to go back and change license, deeds, everything for that. All the address change stuff again. Having trouble still getting mail delivery. Amazon will not deliver because it's not in the database. Can't get any UPS deliveries, anything like that. So we've already went through this once, and now they're trying to get it to go through again after we changed it the first time. And it's costing a lot of money for us to do that. So we have a problem with changing it again. So, and we don't know why. We still don't get a water bill from Morris. We have to come up here and pay the Morris water bill. We can't even get a water bill to live there. So we're asking to leave it the same till we can get it settled out. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Jimmy Watts. Watson, right?
Right, Watson. Jimmy Watson. Right hand road, right down, right where the street is at. And that was my granddaddy property. All that land was my granddaddy property. 15 acres. I still got a brother, 2 brothers got land there, and a sister got a house there. You know what I'm saying? And they want to name that more like my granddaddy. At least Uncle Charlie, I think she got the name Uncle Charlie and what is her name?
So the ones that we have reserved for Horry County right now, that has the 911 approval was C.M. Watson and the Uncle Charlie, which y'all should have a copy of the letter that went out to the adjoining property owners. And we've gotten some feedback from owners that received letters as well that I have notes with, but on that.
That's like I said, I still got, two brothers, a cousin, and a sister got a house there. That's what one named after our family. You know, my granddad, he won purchased the land. That's what he was named after. I don't know where Crawford come from. She said something about where they owned it before my granddaddy bought it. You know what I'm saying? And I see I got still a lot of people that still got land there. You know what I'm saying? Ain't just one lot. This one of them got 2.8 acres. Other got an acre and a quarter. Other got an acre and 4/10. You know what I'm saying? So my cousin got some, like my brother's still, I'm not sure. But you still got land. That's why you want to name that our granddad. You know what I'm saying?
What was it named before Crawford Street?
Watson.
What's
They had another Watson Drive or Watson Road. They said they had another Watson in the North
right?
already, so that's why they didn't want to even Watson County. But his name was Charlie Watson. That's what his name was. But he couldn't get Watson, so put it Charlie. That's what we was trying to get to the vote some more money, but they already linked.
Thank you.
And the rest of the ones that own the land, most of them, they don't live right here. You know, they one live in Greenville, one live in Pennsylvania, and one of them do live here, but I ain't getting into contact with them. They gotta get Maurice Jones.
I talked with him. I have notes from what he told me.
Oh, yeah.
Was Charlie and Fred brothers?
Yeah, Charlie was Fred's son. Fred was Charlie's son. Charlie was the dad, and that was Fred. You know, he was the county council for 27 years here.
Yeah.
Fred was.
Yeah.
Mr. Herman was, and he was,
Herman.
he was a brother.
Yeah, that was a brother. That was my father. Yeah.
And they did.
Huh?
They helped build a lot of houses.
No, that's Bryson that did the painting. Bryson was the first black county council they had. He was elected council, but he never ran. He was elected by the governor. Bryson was. That was Charlie's son too. And Herman was my father. He was a teacher at Brick Mason at Fingers. My father.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Okay, the next person is Mary Dodge. Is that correct?
Hello, everyone. Mary husband has moved from Colorado to here to us, and we currently rent the house for my sister-in-law. So when we first came here, it was listed as 151 Watson Drive. So just the move alone, plus getting everything set up, you know, to live there. And so we had to get our driver's license, insurance, all the things. And then in the meantime, there was another house that was 151 Watson that was in Long's. That lady received a lot of my packages. My packages, my mail. So, you know, that was one of the things. And then they said we needed to change it to Crawford Street. So then we also had to change our car insurances, our driver's license, which they charge us. Any of our insurance things, any of our bills. Also, when I came to vote this week, they couldn't find me under my driver's license. They couldn't find me under 151 Crawford Street. So the lady that was there, she helped me, and she went ahead and she had called down to Conway, and they had me as pending because of the address. So that is a huge issue between trying to move things, get everything set up, and then change it. So, and I don't know when the builder bought it, if he checked on that, you know, to make sure that everything, you know, wouldn't have been a problem to list the house as 151 Watson Drive and stuff. And now it changed to Crawford, and from what I understand, there's a piece of property that's behind us that's also been changed, so I don't know what the people are going to do with that. So, you know, that something can be decided, so we don't have to keep changing our address, and hopefully that lady will get my name. So she's been so kind to me and tell me that it's there. So, yeah, it makes it, you know, it's wonderful to move here and all of that's been really good, except for trying to get everything established correctly and making all the changes. Thank you.
Thank you, appreciate that. And the next person, I might say this wrong, Patrick Dodge. Did I say your name correctly?
Yes, you did.
Okay, she said.
Hello, everybody.
I,
Needs to say, you can probably figure out this has been quite a time. And, other than what my wife has said, I really don't have much to add, other than it has been quite a headache of trying to get everything settled and, at least get to where we're address our stuff when we order stuff or what we do can get to our house. The only thing that I'd have to add to it is in the process of applying for jobs or some of that stuff. When we apply for a job, a lot of times our address gets kicked out of the deal because it's not in none of the databases to say, hey, okay, we know where you're at and your address is a good address. So whatever happens here, I think that's one of the things that really needs to get cleared up is it's gotta get where people recognize it, one way or the other. Yes.
Just to be clear, right now it's a Crawford address, right?
Yes.
And so there's already confusion
Yes.
there, and you three are all together, I'm assuming, right? So if it's switched to something, I know you guys have to jump through hoops again, but if we said no, we don't want to change it to one of the two options here. What's your step to clear? Because you guys already have a problem, I guess, other than not receiving your mail, and which seems to be a problem that I don't know how I can fix. Is there any?
The mail has pretty much gotten itself straightened out. The mail will come if we address it, it does come to our house. But the problem is with like my wife said, the Amazons or if you get deliveries flows, anything outside of the mail, the US mail,
Deliveries is a problem.
it doesn't come to us.
So do you think changing the name would make it worse?
Yes, because it takes time to get into a database.
I know, but it seems like we're not in the database.
That's what we don't
That's-
understand.
That is a good question.
That's why I'm wondering if.
Because a lot of times what I
It
do
seems
now
pretty-
is I just
pretty muddy
put in
waters right now.
151 Watson, just to clarify, because that's still a good address. People know where that's at.
right,
As far as having that address. As long as, if I order something from Lowe's and haven't delivered it, I gotta make sure that they call me and I give them the old address, the 151 Watson Drive. And I gotta tell them, please call me and come to Lowe's, because if you don't do it, if you look it up on your GPS phone, 151 Watson Drive, Lowe's is after 151 Watson Drive, Longs. So the lady in Longs is automatically an alphabet first on the list. People look at it, that's the first thing they click on, and that's where they go.
how long has this been going on?
Oh, since you've been here.
Which is
June.
June?
Have you had to call 911 yet?
No.
And I don't know how that works over there.
Yeah, I don't.
They won't, they probably won't even know.
You guys ought to do a test on that. That's,
I'll drag them to the far end of the street, so they.
I mean,
Well, we'll go to Jimmy's house. Jimmy knows that they know how to get to Jimmy's house. We're good.
I mean, the road stops pretty much at the end of your house right now.
Yes, you have a copy of the
I have,
road
yes,
well.
and
All right, look on the back side of that and you'll see the map of the area of that.
yes,
So you
and
get an idea of it.
to change, I mean, the road still is gonna have to be a finished road, as we talked about this road before in the past, about the one the other direction. And it's not even started one really this way, it's just got a gravel road on it right now. So I don't know how, I doubt it's 8 inches or 15 or anything, it's not, and there's not really a turnaround for fire trucks, there's not. And if you changing the name is, if we change the name again, we're gonna take ownership of it, because we're not responsible for any of that over there.
No, we wouldn't, no.
It's still
The
private
road
road.
name would not have anything to do with ownership or responsibility on that. But with the discussions and comments that we received was where they live at the 151 that you see on the map is actually kind of unique because it almost sits halfway between where it says in that red box where it says Watson Drive, because that's still what's showing up on the county's GIS. They do not have that switched over yet on GIS or the but they sit about halfway of that, but also of the unnamed part, which technically is a 90-degree, which will create a new street, a new name.
Yeah.
So there is the possibility of theirs being able to stay as is, and then go back and rename that unnamed portion, basically in front of Jimmy's house, as the Crawford. With that, so you don't have that change because they do have a built house there. And if you look, the other lots that would actually be affected by this change either way, more or less don't have anything built on it. There's only one other structure that's existed that would affect. And that is, they're in your packet, that is the, I will not say last name right here, which is also part of that, the Charlie Watson family as well.
Do you have any more comments?
Other than the deal that we're still fussing with is what my wife says about the water bill. When we come and ask because they don't send it, I come to pay the water bill or the trash bill, the whole deal. That our Crawford address is not even in the database to have us looked up as the water bill. So you gotta give them the old address in order that they can look up my water bill so I can pay it. That's all I had. Thank you.
It's like you guys don't exist. It's kind of weird.
We're off the grid, but not in a good way.
Okay, is there any other more public comments that somebody did sign list? Okay, so we're gonna close the public hearing at this time.
Excuse me.
I'm sorry.
Does she have something from Maurice?
So, what he was
That's
asking, the comments, so what we received by phone, I spoke with Maurice Jones, who owns, is it one parcel, do you know, was it one parcel over there?
On what?
Just, so Maurice Jones, who is also part of the Charlie Watson family, owns one parcel over there. He requests that if we have to rename it and it be tied back with Charlie Watson, that portion of it, that we choose the CM Watson versus the Uncle Charlie. So that was Maurice Jones. And then Martin Watson is also part of the Charlie Watson family, owns two parcels over there. His request was also that we choose the name CM Watson and not Uncle Charlie.
We can close the public hearing. Okay, we're gonna close the public hearing. It is now 4:51. Okay, now. We have something to tell us. Melissa.
I was gonna say, we have a discussion period and we kind of dipped into it a little bit for this one topic. I had a question there.
Okay.
Do we know when this changed from Watson to Crawford?
So originally, Planning Commission voted to change it, July was a year ago, from Watson to Crawford, and that was because you've got Watson Drive on the east side of the city and you've got Watson Street on the west side. And then two, even, there would be no way that we could go back to just Watson either way. The county would not let us do that because we had Watson Street. So that was why we had to modify a little bit and run through a whole list. You actually have a copy of the suggestions, the request that was sent to Horry County to get approval for it, and what the county sent back as far as what they've got reserved. They did note that if we do choose C.M. Watson, that a space is gonna be required between the C and the M. With that.
I don't know if this is appropriate for Mr. Paget to delve into. Do we know, are there any state or county statutes that would limit the number of name changes within a certain period?
No, not that I'm aware of, no statute or ordinance that says you can only name change so many times.
We do have the ordinance that says if y'all are the ones that have to approve that, the street name, so. It's not that we can just go do it on our own, or anybody else could just say, this is the name for that.
So last July, it was changed, and it still isn't on record.
It's still not showing up.
Yeah, I think there's a couple different things going on there. Obviously, the county has to update their GIS, that's one thing. The private mapping services, that's certainly a request you guys can make on your own. I don't know how often they scrape that data from GIS, I don't know. But if it's Google Maps, Apple Maps, whatever, that's something that you guys can impact on your own. And that's
On any of our stuff, like our utilities and that, I sent the paperwork that the city of Loris gave us so they could make the update for that change.
Okay.
So any of those things, yes, I have sent in the paperwork to appropriate places to show them that our address has changed.
Yeah, to get another business, you mentioned mapping service issues with deliveries. I said that's something they'll update it eventually,
Right.
but they update it faster when they get a request to do it
Right.
from someone.
Anybody else have any questions or comments?
He looks like he wants to ask something.
I just feel like there's a blank here that needs to be filled in, and I'm not sure what it is. I don't know what, you mentioned at the end, when you spoke to us. Could we do something eventually to get it straightened out? I don't know how much time you've given us. It sounds like we need to do something right away.
And we understand, we definitely, because was their family, Watson, all of that, that's not an objection to us all, it's just that, just have it something where it just quits changing. So, we do know that's an honor for them, for their family to be named after that. And then it got changed, so it's just, trying to get everything on our part straightened out, especially since we've made that huge move here. And then it does cost us when we do change our driver's license and that to go down and get that changed. And then also the problem with like the voting here, I came to early vote and there was that issue about that not being completed, so I could do it, just give them my driver's license like everybody else and scan it and have it taken care of.
Did you get it resolved?
Yes, I did. The lady was very helpful. She called into her booklet that she had to wherever, and it, was a process for her to also get it straightened out, but she did.
Don't you think that something can be done to change the water bill address?
So there's a certain mailing list whenever we submit, a road name change, we assign addresses for lots. There's a mailing list that it goes to, and that's for deliveries, 911 services, utilities, things like that with it. With that list, and if anybody, any utility, because we do have some both St. Hubert and or electric customers in town, but for the most part, we send it to different departments with the county, the post office, the school district, and I won't just say there is a couple other ones, but it also goes to our departments here as well. And it states, please update your records accordingly. This is what the city has designated as this. Then, once that's sent out, it's up to the receiving party to update their records. So if it goes to, and that will be each department, you know, you have Horry County where you have land records and you have GIS. They sound the same, they do very similar things, but they're actually two different, completely different things. It has to go to both the GIS updates with the assessor and land records with mapping on that as well. Otherwise, your tax bill is not gonna be what it's supposed to. It's not gonna have the right information on there. And we have had it too, where GIS and land records actually do two different things with it.
So when we voted on it last July, when was that done, notifying the public parties? Have an idea? Was you waiting 2 months later?
Usually it's within 30, 60 days at most
Okay.
of that being decided, because that's usually my follow-up. Our meetings are on Thursdays. If I get time on Fridays, if not, I'm doing that stuff the next week.
So as they call EMS now, there's confusion as to where they're going.
With
The
that,
other Watson Street or.
well, and so there was confusion before, but there's still confusion because some aren't showing up in 911 addressing.
I was concerned about that
Yeah.
because I was like to do something.
Right. And that was the biggest thing with before with, we have two Watsons of, so it becoming Crawford Street was because you don't want the ambulance going to Watson Street when it needs to go to Watson Drive.
Went out there to Dolls.
Yeah, go to Jimmy's house, go to Doug.
Yeah.
We'll meet you at the corner.
I guess I'm just still kind of confused as to, there's an issue right now getting stuff when it's named Crawford. I don't change this, or as far as the bills coming in and the emergency services especially, most important. I guess that's my biggest concern.
So question again. That you beginning for.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, I guess I'm up in the air, if we change it to CM Watson right now, I mean, it doesn't seem like anything's, if nothing's been done to this point to get it straight to Crawford. I guess I'm just unclear as to, is there gonna be any clarity as to fixing this particular issue?
Well, I think the request is not to fix the issue, the request is to rename.
I understand the request to rename, but their biggest concern is obviously the emergency services and getting deliveries and.
Yeah, I mean, the outstanding concern I have is that it just hasn't flowed through MBF. I would feel much better about it if that part was done. But having effectively two requests in the system, you know, I don't know how that would go.
And I will say this is that, whenever those notifications are sent out, I can double check with 911 on it, but 911 is actually who gave the list as far as what departments to send it to. So they should have that part updated, at least on that side. But again, the 911 addressing is gonna be different than the land records, which you're seeing there, and the post office. So some of those we don't really have control over, but this is specific paperwork, and what's sent over, the layout of it is what 911 addressing with Horry County requires.
I haven't to see it. I haven't to see it, and they close on the house, then you get all that. That's when you go to 911. You know,
Whenever the address is assigned. Or so a street number or anything on those lines with it. Whenever that's assigned.
New development coming in, there's gonna be confusion to see if they, build new houses or.
Well, and so with that example, so something say that it's brand new, sometimes the brand new ones are a little bit easier than trying to go back and retrofit some that have been there existing. Like whenever we had Meadowwalk, before they could pull any permits, we had to go through and address all 30-some lots that they were building. And I think because of the open spaces and the different access points, the access points actually got a separate address. So if you do have an emergency and you're at access point D, it's not gonna be the same address as the one that's at the very front entrance of access point A, but technically the same parcel. So all of that had to be done before they could even put the first permit to build a house. Whereas this scenario was, those lots existed with it. So it was going back and retrofitting an address for what was already there.
I guess what I'm hearing from everyone is not so much opposition to the change, probably some issue of timing, perhaps. It's October, look at issues of parcels, that sort of thing. I mean, we consider the idea of tabling it, coming back to it, or we want to go ahead and get it over there.
It sounds to me like if I was one of the owners, I'd want it tabled. Maybe I'm speaking out of turn, but their problem hasn't been resolved. Because they're still not getting their stuff. And like Ben said, I'm concerned about 911 requests. I mean, that's a big thing. And if you can't fix that problem, then we're gonna create another problem. No.
I knew the lots, I mean, I always heard of them, I could go all over, so, that was always a really good name and well spoken and all of them. So, I would be all for learning the lots, and it seems like, like you say, all the stuff that's going in with it, that it's affecting.
Right. What is it, Gus?
I obviously agree with that. I think the confusion with Glenn kind of beat to death here. I think it's more of a timing issue. Obviously, I don't object to changing it to any family name. I just think there's too much craziness going on with them trying to get their stuff straight. And maybe once they get it, figure out the best route, they figure it out, how, and it's working for them, we can relook at it and maybe there'd be an easier process. That's figured out down the road. It's my own opinion. I think the timing's off. I don't want to add more confusion to what's already going on. So I guess I'm full table to.
Because you two are the only two houses on this that are affecting right now, correct? The,
We are the only house right now. There's a neighbor to it.
My sister house
The
is on
sister
that.
house is next door to us.
Yeah, and she's been there a long time.
Is she getting her mail and everything?
Well, I mean, I reckon they get them in, I'm not sure.
But there's somebody's bought property behind us too. I'm not sure who that is. You know who that is, Jimmy?
No.
There's another address that's behind our house that
Yeah,
nobody's there yet.
all of them.
yeah, I
On
see,
the
yeah,
back,
why not?
yeah, that was.
He didn't sell it?
That's what he
That's
said.
what he said.
That's what
He said it's sold.
That's what he told me.
You thought that thing sold?
Oh,
Couldn't sell it.
Because I asked him.
More or
I asked
less,
him I'd buy it.
But then
He said he
he's,
sold it.
but then he's been putting stuff on it, so.
That's what I'm saying, you look at it, you can't go by that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But now, theirs is in a particular situation.
What do you think
where
about,
it could
Not
go
real
either
good
way.
across that they're talking
So
about.
where they're
Over
talking
your house, my
about
house.
is,
Then it dead ends right, kind of dead, then it
you
makes
see
a
what's
bubble
kind of
right there.
bolded, it
And
says
that road goes
151
over
right under
in
the
front of
number
your
on that
sister's
road.
house.
That's
Well, if we kept that one
where that
road,
house, that's where the,
how they ever
So
came up with
they're
it, whatever it
kind of
is.
situated almost. it
Can they
could be
rename that
Dawes,
section of road?
Watson,
Somebody go that way?
whatever.
That's going on that way.
What was
So
that?
it is
I gotta check
possible
with him.
that
That's where
stays
most of the land is at.
everything.
It's off to the,
Yeah.
to that area,
Yeah.
right?
So then we could change it to that and keep
And
that.
I wonder if they could just separate the road up that way
At the
where,
same
okay, we
time,
still have this road, but
all we
then
can
the
do
road
is submit the
over here would
paperwork
be
to
Watson.
those other entities.
I
see
Or see
W
it.
Watson's.
I check with the rest of them.
And ultimately,
I mean,
if
might
there
be
is
an idea,
clarification on it,
I don't know if that solves the issue.
whoever's asking is gonna
It's still,
contact us because that
it's
falls
still-
under us.
I mean, you just want.
Corey County's
Yeah.
property to
No,
verify
like to own.
their own EMS address.
Yeah,
EMS
I understand
station.
that part.
Because what they what was that?
Everybody that lives in the streets.
That's what they should have done.
Right.
So
They should
still,
have done.
even if not one question
Well-
on the address on
But
something,
then they say they
they're
tell
gonna
me.
And then when
contact
they-
whatever
Yeah, they wouldn't
jurisdiction
do this problem.
that property is in. So like with the county 911, if they question something with an address in the city of Lawrence, they're gonna call me to verify that that is the address that's assigned to that property with it. So you do have that fallback with it, at least on the emergency services side.
Okay.
But with the outside entities, the outside agencies, we don't have control over when their system is updated. But the jurisdiction where that property is who determines what the address and what the street number is for that.
Mayor, as you said, this would make it except for one house or two houses.
So if you look on that map that you've got there, where it says, the parcel number, and then it's got 151 under it, it's right at that almost T.
Right.
That's where, Mary and Patrick Dodge, and
Somebody was 171.
so 171 is who Mr. Jimmy was referring to, his sister owns that. You should have the addresses for those parcel numbers under that picture. That is where the county has the tax bill on it. With that, just to show you as far as what's there with it. So more or less, if you see an address that's not a PO box in town and it's like somewhere outside of Lawrence, more than likely it's either vacant or rented. Most likely, not always, but most likely. So the only properties that technically are being affected, with the exception of the 163 on the backside there, is properties that touch those red lines. So that is the owners that received letters for that, because technically they joined that property, technically they could be affected one way or the other with the request.
So you're not talking about just two people being affected, all these lots right here.
Because they own the property, so,
Okay.
so yes. And those effects can differ. If I've got a field there, how it affects me in my field is not gonna be the same as how it affects you in your house. With it, if that makes sense. I don't have mail being delivered to my field, to an EV field.
We can't just, so it's good, Mr. Watson's good, so.
Yeah.
Yes, when they had a meeting about putting the, Crawfords, was that, anybody was here when they had that?
I was not. You said it was July of last
That was
year?
July of last year.
I was not.
I remember, yeah. I know we had a public hearing,
Right.
but I don't remember any opposition.
I don't remember him.
Yeah.
Right, I don't remember either way. Cause I know I do remember whenever that was discussed, and even the plat, I don't know if you can see it on the packet, slide number 6. If it's big enough, I know that was the one that was used, I think. So that plat was the actual Charlie Watson Estate subdivision back in 81. It refers to that stretch of right of way as Elm Drive. So, I mean, that's the one where there was different names depending on which map you looked at, what it was referred to. But Land Records and GIS had it as Watson Drive. So I don't remember anything being said then. I do know that the notice was ran, but our ordinance, and that's something that we talked about, clarifying and actually making it a requirement, is any property that could possibly be affected in one way or another receives an actual letter along with that notice being published as for your requirements. So it's them actually receiving a letter, yeah, that, which is what happened here, but we're working to get back and incorporate that into the ordinance where it's a requirement to meet the steps for public hearing.
Can I say something? I just want to reiterate that I received this letter for the property taxes on October 18th. And so it still has Watson Drive on it. So my concern is the length of process that it's taking for a name change. I used to work for the Postal Service. And usually what I dealt with never took this long with accounting and stuff. And like I am concerned with emergency services. I'm concerned with getting a pizza delivered from Domino's, you know? So I'm just concerned about the process, and if we can just get it established and get it into all the records, because this, I've never seen anything like this. It should go to you guys, or should go to the county. The post office puts it, I know how we put it in our database, which is immediately, and it goes into effect. So since if this was changed back in July, how could they even build the house with permits with Watson Drive if it was changed to Crawford? They didn't build the house till a year later.
And even through the,
I don't know.
mortgage process, even through
And the mortgage.
the
and our
mortgage
deed,
process
I
still
don't
was
I don't
off of
understand
off of
this.
that address.
Yeah, the closing and everything was off of that. So that was over a year and it wasn't into effect.
Do we wanna go up or down, or do we wanna try to get it sorted out first? Maybe sort it out. Sort it out. And then we'll second that. Obviously. I would like to see it on the county GIS corrected. Because so many services are just straight data from there.
You're running into this problem.
With this one, as far as time frame, no, this one's the first one that it's been like that with it. I mean, we've done other ones where naming streets and the weird part about it is, if I remember, you see the lots all have a number on them. Oh, they've got a PIN number on it, but then they've got a street number under it. All that was sent with it too before, as far as getting all those on there. Meadowwalk had 5 times as many on it, and it got them on it. I don't understand why this one.
Well, Meadowwalk is brand new.
Right.
This is established.
Right, and I wonder if that's, has anything to do with it, but ultimately, it's gonna be put in the other agencies to see what the issue is.
Somebody needs to fire into county to do something.
I mean, I can understand the frustration of the residents, so if you change, you know, and think you have it settled, and then you still don't have it settled, you know, and you changed everything. Sure, it'd be more confusing just changing everything.
To that plus something.
I didn't know that.
That's the 24th.
Wow.
October. Sorry.
And then
Maybe we send out one to the county.
December. Table list.
Well, you said the name change was put in last July.
2023.
2023.
It's been over a year.
Right.
Yeah, so that would be my concern. One change process. Oh, here comes another one.
But that is one where it was established as well, as Linda pointed out, is it was established and changed.
Yeah.
So if that has anything to do with it, it will.
But what would hold it up? Don't they generally happen almost immediately?
I do know, at least with the post office, because that was something I was thinking on, because I'll get the email, say, I missed a letter in an email address or something, but I keep all those in a list, so all I have to do is select known addressing till it's sent, and it sends it to about 24 different people, departments. One of the guys that was on that mailing list retired from the post office. I don't remember when, but I got updated contact information in that list for 2 of them at the post office now. I don't remember if that was sent before he retired or after he retired with it, the other addresses, just so, because I have to do this, if we assign a street number to a lot. It's basically the same process, it's just it doesn't have to go to y'all because the name is already there, we're not changing anything. But as far as any confirmation back with it, I've never,
It's gonna follow up.
well, usually if it shows up on land records or GIS with it on it, or if you click on a parcel where it's got that address going to, so we'll just say if it was going to, if Maurice Jones, if the tax bill was going to, or we'll use Judy's, $4510, that was, we were changing that, and I click on his house and I see that the address where the tax bill is going says the address that we've actually changed it to. Somebody at the county's got that with it, as far as confirmation with it. Because again, sometimes they show up on this map, not the other. It just depends on how often some of that data is cycled through. I know they did a big dump back in very end of the year to maybe spring with the GIS updating stuff with it, and there's a lot of things that changed on it. But it's not really records for GIS.
I guess for this, who would be able to follow up with this and want to see what the hold is with the county at least.
I mean, we can reach out to them and get confirmation on it, or request a return receipt with it. Otherwise, we usually will look at the map and see, but even if the map shows something different than our records have, it falls back on the jurisdiction where the property is. As far as who verifies it, really.
So just kind of a recap, the folks that are having trouble getting their mail and their Amazon deliveries, is that correct?
If we order something,
Okay, and then your water bill is not coming to your house
No.
address, correct?
it's still listed under 151 Watson
Okay,
Drive.
and you have your address changed on your license,
Yes,
and the voter's registration in their system did acknowledge it,
No,
correct?
he showed his pending, so they did have to contact, that office in Conway, and the voter, polling manager contacted them, and I was there while she did that and showed, so they could get that updated.
Is there anything else, utilities, now all of your records you have with your,
I've sent the paperwork to our utilities and any of our other insurances or whatever showing our new address change from the letter that we had from Loris. I sent it to all of them to update our mailing address for that.
nothing else I left out?
Well, like you said, they've been applying for jobs, and because it's not in the database, you can't do online job applications, and a lot of people want
kicks them
that.
out.
It kicks them out once you apply.
And then, well, when we went to actually went to Verizon, because we stopped at their store, because of course we, needed something for our phone. It didn't come up on their system, the Crawford Street, so it had to be listed back from our Colorado address to 151 Watson Drive.
Okay.
So, I mean, anyone that we could update our address since the change, I've sent in the paperwork for that.
In fact, we're getting ready to go back to Colorado for one last thing, to a financial place here, a bank, that we need to personally wet ink a change address at the bank there in Colorado.
So they can show up, yeah.
Okay. Okay, we've had a lot of discussion, do I hear a motion on anything?
Are we thinking November, or are we thinking 2025?
We're talking about tabling it.
Until, I was not say it's the holidays coming up, I just don't know how much response we're gonna get.
Yeah, I don't want Santa Claus to miss my address.
That's right.
But I haven't heard anyone disagree with changing.
Right.
It's just a matter of
That'd be great.
getting it sorted.
Yeah, And I will say this, so even looking on the county's lane records, just typing in Watson Drive, even though it shows up on a map, I can't pull up Watson Drive Lures whenever I search it
No.
on that.
Like,
So,
So you can't pull up Watson Drive, and you can't pull up the Crawford,
right,
so they're kind of like in limbo.
Anybody want to get away with something, come to our house, they won't find you.
And the IRS.
everybody go Judy's.
Okay,
Good.
yeah, I think it's. That needs.
Jimmy, you got a lot of people at your house. You can have a lot of people at your house.
Do,
In the meantime, did you say you were going to follow up?
I was gonna say we can do it as a motion to do that and get verification, get some clarification from those outside
Yeah, I mean, my
agencies.
motion's gonna be follow up with county essentially.
Mhm.
Because everything else is really private services, and some of those private services will pull from the county data, so.
Right, yeah, if that database isn't in there, then nothing else pulls from it.
Okay, so we're gonna make a motion, I hear a motion that we're requesting Meredith to do a follow-up with the county on the updates of, so that one of these streets can show up. Preferably. Anything else on the motion?
That was it.
Okay,
So,
So who made the motion?
Chris made the motion, do I hear a second? John, yeah. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? So moved. Okay. So she's gonna investigate or get with the county, and then once she gives us the information, then we're gonna meet again on this topic and be informed about the update. And then we'll figure out where we go from there.
Will we be notified when you meet on that again?
Anytime we have a public hearing, it's publicly notified. And you did say that everybody that lives in the area will get a letter.
So with that, that's something, it's not written in our ordinance that way, but that's a practice that we're looking to make it a requirement. So it's, if the property line would touch it.
Yeah.
The affected area, you would get notification by them.
Okay.
As well.
And these commission meetings are always the fourth Thursday of the month. And usually there's a notice of public hearing put out 1 week in advance,
Oh,
2 weeks.
public hearing is a minimum 15 days.
15 days,
Three days.
2 weeks in advance. So you'll know what's on schedule. But
We feel your pain. I mean, and we also concerned about making sure that it does get renamed to.
To honor the Watson name.
Yep.
Request, yeah, the rightful request.
Yeah.
Okay, so, we're through with that topic, right? Okay. Okay, so do we have business items?
Um, Well, one of the business items we just did on that motion, but, the only other thing is staff report on there.
Okay,
So at the back of your packet, you will see a calendar for 2025. And we did this with John and yours, or at least handed out the calendars to think about. So December, for the first of the year, we have to put out the calendar.
Somebody else can go.
Our scheduled meetings for
Or
that.
you
You're gonna leave it by yourself. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
thank you.
All you, huh? Sir? All you today. All good.
So you've got, calendar for 2025. December, January, we're getting close to the point of we've got to get our schedule for 2025 situated, and because that has to be published. So it has to be sent to the news, sent to media, put everywhere with it. So it's kind of jumpstart, just look at the dates with it. This calendar does happen to have, holidays noted in red. Not all of those holidays are necessarily the city's holidays, because it's tragic. When we do city holidays, the observed holidays for the city, that's about the December meeting as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
So because we don't know that yet, there may be some on here that
May be effective.
we work, even though it shows it a holiday, it's not a holiday that the city observes. So, I did note on the November, December months with it. So normally we've been doing the fourth Thursday of the month, right? But again, November, December is the weird ones where you'll have Christmas and Thanksgiving. So I've got a blue circle around those as far as that's the third. That's how we done, I think that's how this year went. Because 23 had a those were weird, it had a Thursday after, so I think we actually did like the Thursday after in 2023. At 24, we had to do the Thursday before. So if you think of something, with it, if the time works, I know there was some question as far as 4:30 not working for some people when we have public hearings and they're wanting to attend with it, so there's a possibility of maybe having to bump it down or with work schedules, so that's just things to think about. Nothing to decide right now.
Okay, so we did talk about it last month, about maybe changing it to 5, if it was more convenient for people on this group that work.
Yeah.
So it's something to consider. We're not making a decision today,
Right.
but just something to consider. We probably can decide on that for next month or December.
I would say we could probably get some input and kind of almost make the November a rough draft, but then December, that'd be the final,
Okay.
this is the schedule with it.
Something else that is not on the schedule, does anyone other than me still need to do their annual training? I do. Okay.
Have y'all had any luck getting the online logins with them?
I've looked at courses,
But
just have not done it.
Yeah, I know which one I'm gonna do, I just haven't done it yet.
I'll have some time for it.
What did we do, the one in that room?
that was the orientation. That was,
2023.
yeah, would have had to have been after the appointments. I have to go back and to see exactly the date.
It's annual
Yes.
requirement.
Yes, so the 6 hour, the orientation carries you through that year with, you've gotta get the 3 hours within a year on that. And with some of the dates, trying to get all those back on the same track. Now that we've got everybody and everybody, I think it's been through, or at least the most part has been through a renewal with city council on their term appointments, is we're not kind of hodgepodging of this one needed orientation, but these 4 needed annual, and these 2 just did orientation, and so we're kind of all on the same schedules now. But there's really no date other than within a year on the annuals.
Did you have any others in particular that you thought would apply more to us? I was thinking about resources and consideration.
Now, which one did you look?
Hmm?
Which, have you gone on and looked at through the login? You've created a login and
No, I
looked at
haven't,
courses?
like I said, I haven't done anything, it's just.
I think they'll change them ever so often as far as what they're called or the different topics they'll do. But it's kind of like, well, all right, in Loris, are we gonna be affected by coastal flooding? And so if they do something on coastal flooding, is that really gonna help me with some things that we've heard or some issues that we've had? So, but it could be forestry, it could be stormwater, drainage, natural resource, resilience, I mean, anything that you think we've either dealt with, we've touched base on type thing, or even if it's something like kind of like how do you create your plan or tie in the outside of the city to your downtown, like we talked about with the comp.
Yeah, they
Different
seem, they
ways
seem
of
to
that.
lean, they lean, seem, those particular course sales, they will seem to lean toward how we're going to address problems now. It's difficult to ask.
Because you did mention that there's some ordinances we will be looking at, making some recommendations, correct? And there's probably.
Those are really fun ones, how statutory requirements.
Yeah, if you, yeah, that's a good bedtime story. on
I
that.
made it up.
But it is good information. Okay. Was there
I
anything?
think you could remind us maybe, like, this is where you need to go exactly.
Send, you want me to send out another email with it, with the links and stuff, yeah. I'll just send it. Okay,
So pretty much everybody needs to do,
finally,
pretty much everybody needs to do at least
Something.
3
hour
hours.
training.
3 hours.
And then the ones that haven't done their,
Everybody's up.
Everybody's done orientation.
Okay.
And that's what I was saying, that is, we're more on a routine, the same schedule, because everybody's done that 6 hour.
okay,
So this is just your 3 hour block of it.
And you can do more than 3 hours. If you see, of course, I like this one, but I like that one too. Or this one's coming soon, but I gotta get this one done now. You can always do more. You just gotta do at least 3.
and when you do them, you can pause them and go back to it, correct? Or you have to stay looking at it for 3 hours.
Usually they'll be broken up into segments. So,
Okay,
like with the if you did the orientation training online, it was broke down into 1 hour segments.
Okay.
You finish that segment, you've passed. I think you could hit pause, but you couldn't close the browser. And you could go back to it, so as long as your computer didn't shut down or you had a power glitch or something, you'd be fine. But, there's somebody there.
I'm outside the door. Okay. Is there any,
Then you said there might be some questions and answers just to keep you tuned
Exactly.
in.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, like, you could pause, you could hit pause if you needed to run to the store and come back and then pick back up. You just, if it has the questions in it, you can play the video, walk away from it. But you're not gonna be able to finish playing the video until you answer this question.
right,
It's gonna make sure you're there paying attention.
one of the questions will be, this, are you a robot? Any other comments or questions? Okay, do I have a motion to adjourn? Then makes a motion, do I hear a second?
Second.
There, it's a second, all in favor, say aye. They both said it at the same time. Okay, everybody in favor, say aye. Anyone opposed? Okay. So adjourned. Oh, you did? Did you not see public hearing on the agenda?
I didn't think anybody would reject.
Depends what part.